So after I'd been home about a year, I remarried and came up to Timaru to be a farmer's wife. And we struck very bad times with the farming, and so it wasn't long before I was looking for a job again. And I went down to the hospital and asked if they had any jobs going in neurology. And the charge physio at that time was rather old-fashioned. He said, "Oh, we don't get many neurological patients here." I said, "What? What about all your strokes?" Oh no, we don't need anybody." And I said, well, I went to see the paediatrician, and I said, "You haven't got a domiciliary physiotherapist in the area here. It must be one of the few areas in New Zealand where there's nobody. They all come to Dunedin." And he said, "Oh yes, it'd be marvellous if we could have you here." And I said, "Well, I know Dunedin would like to have somebody here." He said, "Well, it will have to come out of the hospital staffing." So I didn't get anywhere with the hospital staffing because they weren't going to give up one of their precious spots for a domiciliary physiotherapist, for a paediatric therapist. And I said, "Well, the funding is there because Christchurch are using it because it hasn't been used, and they've got the funding, but they haven't got the personnel for 1.5 people up there, so I know it's there, but it didn't come through." So I went private. A friend of mine who had a physiotherapy practice here became ill. He asked me if I'd buy his practice, so I did. He came back and worked for me for a wee while after his pneumonectomy. He had cancer. And that's where I stayed until I got out. What am I now? Yeah, it'd be about 13 years ago, 13 or 14 years ago now. I was at retirement age. The 2 girls that I had working with me had always known that they'd get first option of buying the practice. I was in a very old-fashioned place. I knew it wasn't, well, I was going to be retiring, so it wasn't worth my while going into new buildings. And so the 2 girls really forced the issue. They saw a place that was up for rental just a few doors down the road, and I thought, oh wow, it's no use letting them go off and set up an opposition when I'm just about due to retire. So I went with them to this new building. Mine was going to be pulled down anyway. Well, it wasn't being pulled down at that stage. There was a new bypass road. It was going right past, and it was going to cut off all my parking. And the road had been very close, so I decided that I'd move with them and sold out to them. And I worked for them for a wee bit, but not for very long. They didn't stay together, so I went back and did a locum for one of them for a while, at odd times, up until the government brought the new proficiency rules in, and it didn't pay me to continue. Also working as a volunteer physiotherapist at the hospice. I did all their lymphodemas for them and any chest work that they wanted done, and they haven't been able to get anybody since. And it's just, you know, one day I was deemed unqualified after 54 years of doing the work. But it really does make me mad. You know, it's something that you have to be insured for, because there is this possibility in a lymphedema, even their terminal cases, that you might hurry up the end a bit, might shorten the life by increasing the spread. I suppose there's that possibility, but it's offset tremendously by making a life livable while they're still alive, by increasing their mobility, allowing them to get up and walk and move and use their arms. It was just so good for them. It makes me cross. This hospital staff can't continue it, and there is a trained person, and she does all the outpatient ones and, you know, the area, but for something like hospice, it's just another big area again. So that's something that the new proficiency, I think, tests have ruled out the experience of people, because I really haven't stopped working. You know, all that way through I had perhaps about 3 years off when my daughter was a baby, a year on the farm, but in between that I'd kept myself very much up to date with everything that was going on, so it made me cross.